Tonight on Joy News Prime, Inter-Party Resistance Against Voters Register announces resumption of its demonstrations from next Tuesday to pile pressure on the Electoral Commission to abandon its move to compile a new electoral roll.
We are by this conference announcing our Yempini march to the EC on Tuesday, 4th February 2020 in Accra.
Lawyers for NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo and one other executive facing trial for allegedly inciting violence against the Electoral Commission chairperson cry foul over what they say is an attempt to fabricate a story against their clients.
It's been a disaster for the prosecution, a big disaster in the case that, in the sense that you have the star witness of the prosecution denying his own witness statement, indicating that he had no knowledge of the witness statement. It was brought to him, couched by the police, and that he had no knowledge of it. And so it is a bad day for the prosecution.
2 weeks after the horrific accident at Dompoase on the Cape Coast Saturday Highway, which claimed 34 lives, a 10-year-old survivor is yet to be told she lost both parents and an 8-month-old sister.
We haven't broken the news to them yet. No, we haven't. But we intend to do that before the burial of their parents.
She's also been describing the horror she witnessed on the day.
I saw people shouting for help.
Okay.
A woman.
Which woman is that?
She was shouting that one of her leg and her hands were stuck. I don't know the woman.
You don't know her?
I saw that there were chairs broken.
In business,
2,500 indigenes of Ashanti region to be employed and the second phase of Obuasi redevelopment project.
Operations have commenced. First gold has been poured, and most of the 2,500 people to be employed will be Ghanaians.
Sanitation and Water Resources Minister insists President Akufo-Addo's pledge to make Accra the clean city in Africa by the end of his first term could be realized, even though that first term is less than 12 months away.
I hope it will be, and I know it can be. I'm not running away from the fact that all the players, like I said, you said the task force was a bit too late in the day, no?
I was asking a question.
Exactly.
I was asking if it wasn't too late in the day.
It's not. All players are on board.
I'm Israel I, and Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomlimli here in Accra with digital address GA0992539. Stay tuned in. The Inter-Party Resistance Against the New Voters Register says it is resuming its demonstrations next Tuesday, February 4, to press home its demand for the Electoral Commission to back down on the decision to compile a new electoral roll. The EC, despite opposition to the move, has scheduled April 18, 2020 to commence the process. Speaking at a news conference Wednesday, PNC chairman and spokesperson of the coalition, Bernard Mona, said the disregard for the eminent advisory committee by the EC amounts to bad faith and betrayal and called on Ghanaians to resist it.
Following a meeting of the resistance last week, we took a disturbing note of the EC's declaration of April 18, 2020 as the beginning of the compilation of the new voters register, and its subsequent publication in the state media without recourse to the planned engagement of stakeholders at a meeting scheduled for 30th January. In our press release after the meeting, we described the EC's actions as an act of bad faith purported to disrespect and disregard the EC's own establishment of the Committee of Eminent Advisors and civil society organizations involved in these discussions. It is our considered view that the EC is taking the anger and the will of the people for granted by spitting the good conscience of the resistance in the invitation of political parties to a meeting with the Committee of Eminent Advisors for further deliberations on the said matter, and yet going ahead to announce a date for the commencement of same. We subsequently announced our inability to oblige with the earlier announcements of the momentary suspension of our public manifestations and declared resumption of the series of mass actions earlier outlined. We are by this press conference announcing our Yempini march to the EC on Tuesday, 4th February 2020 in Accra. I repeat, we are by this conference announcing our Yempini march to the EC on Tuesday, 4th February 2020 in Accra. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, IPRAN has agreed to participate in tomorrow's IPAC meeting with the eminent advisory committee and the CSOs with an open mind. In order to curb any doubt, we insist on live coverage of the meeting since it is a matter of great public interest. Secondly, we insist on a proper public forum where all political parties and the pro and anti-new register would get the opportunity to present their views to the public. Fellow countrymen and women, we urge you to join with IPRAN to safeguard our elections and our electoral processes, our democracy and the peace of our nation, Ghana.
Hassan Ayariga, founder of the All People's Congress, also expressed displeasure, arguing the insistence on a new voters register by the EC is a subtle move to manipulate the electoral process.
That the main reason why the EC wants to change the new voter register is because they want to have full control of the management system. When you have full control of the new registered management system, quote and unquote, you can manipulate the results. You can change the figures when the results come in. You can decide to make anybody president. That is the main reason why they are looking for a new register. Not because our register is not credible, not because our register is obsolete, not because our register is overstretched. No. They want to have the full management of the new voter register to be able to manipulate. And that is why anytime you argue with them, they say, oh, the other register, we don't have control over it. Why do you want to have control of it? Because you want to manipulate it, not because it is not credible, because you want to have full control of it. When you have full control, what are you going to do with full control? Garbage in, garbage out.
Now, the coalition, in its quest to get the commission back down on the plan to compile a new register, petitioned both former President Rawlings and former President Kufuor, and they are asking them to intervene. According to the coalition, the two former presidents admitted to their position, but however cautioned them against the use of violence to achieve their objective. Now, the trial of NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo and another executive over a purported leaked tape in which they are said to have incited violence against the chairperson of the Electoral Commission opened on Wednesday, with his lawyers accusing the prosecution of making up stories to defame their client. This was after the first witness called by the state, Benjamin Osei-Ampofo-Adjei, denied the witness statement attributed to him. According to the witness, although he recognized the signature on the document as his, he could not own up to the content. Lawyers for Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo and the NDC's Deputy Communications Officer, Kweku Boahen, told journalists after the hearing they suspect foul play.
Today
has been a disaster for the prosecution. A big disaster in the case, in the sense that you have the star witness of the prosecution denying his own witness statement, indicating that he had no knowledge of the witness statement. It was brought to him, couched by the police, and that he had no knowledge of it. And so it is a bad day for the prosecution. Indeed, in my practice, this is the first time I am seeing a witness in the witness box denying an act that was purported to be his act. It's a bad day.
And what does this mean for the case going forward?
Well, it simply means that these are trump-up charges. That's why it was difficult for the witness himself to accept the witness statement. And because they are trump-up charges, they needed to couch something for the witness to append his signature. And so going forward, we have raised some objections. Going forward, the legal team will deal with the issues that have arisen, but we intend to ensure that we provide proper legal assistance to the accused persons. You also heard him say that this is the first time I'm seeing the content. And so for a witness to say this is the first time I'm seeing the content, is for the people to judge whether that content was the handiwork of the witness.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The case has been adjourned to the 5th, 6th and 11th of February 2020. Majority leaders of HMS Bones were described as empty barrels and irrelevant, those seeking to unseat him in the NPP primary in his constituency. He says John Darko and Dr. Mako Tufo have not proven themselves worthy enough to replace him. He was speaking with journalists at Parliament House on complaints by some of the aspirants. They have not been allowed to pick up forms to contest him. The majority leader is also backing proposals from party officials in the constituency to ensure himself, the first deputy speaker and minister of education are not contested in the upcoming primaries. He says it will be unfortunate and suicidal for government and the party if anyone is allowed to contest them.
Mentioning a certain John Darko who wants to have some relevance to himself. He contested me the other time and I think he garnered about 56 votes. I don't know why he's making noise. As he said, empty barrels make the most noise. I'm concentrating on what I need to do in Parliament, for the party, and for Parliament as an institution, to broaden and indeed deepen our democracy. That is my preoccupation. If he wants to contest, it's between him and the party. I'm told one other person, one Dr. Mako Tufo, has also joined the fray. But that is a lot. It doesn't have any relevance in this party. I must make bold on this. Whenever there is an election, then he spares himself to Ashanti region and pretends that he is in control of the region. What does he do for the party? I also understand that the party has made a pronouncement, a bold pronouncement on myself, the first deputy speaker, the minister for education in Ashanti region I'm referring to. The situation really then is, the practical situation is that because of what they are doing, they are not able to find space to visit their constituencies often. And because of that, you allow somebody to, go and scavenge at the backyards of those people. I think if you are saying that the people want to contest them, do you want them to stop what they are doing and go plant themselves in the constituency and then also challenge them? It will be most unfortunate and it will be suicidal for government and indeed for the development of this country.
The Sanitation and Water Resources Minister says her sector is in talks with the Roads Ministry to redesign current drainage systems in the country, which according to her have outlived their usefulness. The engineering process, Cecilia Abnadapa says, has begun at Agbogloshi in Accra to ensure proper drainage and prevent flooding.
I have also last week set up an interministerial task force comprising 10 ministries. We'll have focal persons who will be technical persons to work together.
To deal with what specifically?
To deal with sanitation-related issues as well as beautification of Accra.
Interministerial task force.
Exactly.
Isn't it a bit late in the day, considering the fact that the mandate came 2 years ago? Or at least you took over a year ago.
Because the work is ongoing. It's just to bring them to up and to also veer into the area of beautification, like I said. Because cleanliness brings about the beauty in you or in places. For instance, I have added in the sector roads and highways. You ask me why. I believe that the colonial relic of the shallow gutters we have, as we can say, is passé. It has outlived, or all these gutters have outlived their usefulness in the sense that when there's a flooding, they are not helpful. So we are proposing that the engineers take a look at having underground gutters to help us. And they've started doing that at Abublushi. I've seen it myself.
Some Ghanaians have criticized government for still constructing open drains, which many say encourage dumping of refuse in them. The open drains also collect plastic waste and silt whenever it rains. This, the minister says, will soon be a thing of the past as she is engaging her colleague ministers. Madam Dapaah, who insists her ministry is on track to fulfill President Akufo-Addo's vision of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa, acknowledged the vision will not be realized if sanitation challenges are left to her ministry alone to address.
Each player must up his or her game. That is one. And we are not relenting. Like I said, I coming to work and I've charged all my officers. We come with daily reports. You know, we come from different parts of Accra. And then we have these assemblies working with us. So if we find something untoward, we quickly let the assembly know. And then we cross-check the following day. We give them 48 hours to make sure the situation is remedied. I know and I have found out that, for instance, we have a challenge with our gutters. I've gone further to find out that by day, as we say in Ghanaian parlance, someone can charge you 40 Ghana cedis to work. Yes. So I've asked them to measure the length of the gutters so that we know the cost involved. And these are all things that are being done.
Cecilia Dapaah also assured measures are still in place to ensure the vision is realized by 2024.
We are on course.
So are we going to hit a target in 4 years?
We can. You and I will also make it possible. It's not a gimmick. You see, when the president said he was going to give out or give every constituency an ambulance, people thought it was a pie in the sky. But I know, and I repeat, that cleanliness is not about getting new clothes, new structures every day. It's about cleaning what you have, making what you have clean. If we have a clean environment, nobody will dare throw out anything. If you get the full speech that he made, this policy of one house, one bin is there. And we in the ministry, we have also added one business, one bin.
Yeah.
To make sure that people do not litter. When people see the town devoid of the plastic waste, devoid of maybe a bit of solid waste, you will see the clean environment. Also, you have people who burn plastics or refuse. All these things also add to the insanitary conditions.
You're watching Joy News From. We're taking a break, but still ahead. 2 weeks after the horrific accident at Dompoase on the Cape Coast Takoradi Highway, which claimed 34 lives, a 10-year-old survivor is yet to be told she lost both parents and an 8-month-old sister.
We haven't broken the news to them yet. No, we haven't. But we intend to do that before the burial of their parents.
She's also been describing the horror she witnessed on the day.
I saw people shouting for help.
Okay.
A woman.
Which woman is that?
She was shouting that one of her legs and her hands were stuck.
Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit. A 10-year-old victim of the recent tragic accident on the Cape Coast Takoradi Highway who lost her father and mother as well as the 8-year-old sister is yet to be informed of their demise 2 weeks after the tragedy. The accident claimed as many as 34 lives and left many injured, some of them critically. Her 7-year-old brother is one of those who was maimed in the accident and unable to walk. She has been lucky enough to survive to share her rather quite graphic recollection of events, which should hopefully cause motorists to be more diligent in their driving. Maxwell Agwagwa has more of her story, which viewers are warned could be quite disturbing for those who are quite sensitive to graphic descriptions.
10.
You're 10 years. Okay. What's your favorite subject?
Math.
Mathematics. Wow. Maths is difficult.
The 10-year-old girl, Mommy, not her real name, sharing with me her dreams of becoming a lawyer. Last 2 weeks' deadly accident nearly truncated that aspiration. Her father, mother, and her 8-month-old sister all died in the accident. Her 8-year-old brother, who is unable to walk, is still receiving treatment at the hospital. The little girl has been narrating to me how she survived.
What do you want to become in future?
I want to become a lawyer.
You want to become a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. That's nice.
That there were plenty of people shouting and many people too were hurt.
So you saw people who were hurt?
Yes.
In the bus? Okay. But you were sleeping there?
Yes. I saw people shouting for help.
Okay.
A woman.
Which woman is that?
She was shouting that one of her legs and her hands were stuck. I don't know the woman.
You don't know her?
I saw that there were chairs broken.
Mommy's uncle says the 10-year-old girl saw her mother screaming for her and brother to be rescued from the mangled vehicle, but her mother died some hours later. Well, 2 weeks ago, 43-year-old Isaac Ansa Ewuku was traveling together with his family to Takoradi when they were involved in that accident on the Cape Coast Dompoase Highway. He died. He died together with his 41-year-old wife, Martha Ninsen. An 8-month-old baby also died in the accident. 2 of his children he was traveling with survived. One of them is here at the accident in the emergency center here at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Mommy's brother lies on a bed at the accident and emergency center of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital as his 8th birthday approaches this Sunday. I'm told his father had already started making preparations for the celebration, but now he's dead. The 8-year-old boy is unable to walk for now. He had to undergo surgery on Monday. Brother of the deceased, Michael Nyakon Asare, says the family is unable to break the news to the 2 surviving children.
They are very attached to their parents, very, very attached to their parents, because my brother I always talk to on phone and in person, and he's like, he didn't have the best of educations and all that, so he's going to make sure he would go to heaven and earth to, you know, get his kids the best of educations, and he's very close to them. I've paid them a visit a few times, and you don't need anyone to tell you they are very attached to their parents, very, very attached to their parents. We haven't been able to break the news to them. It will be the job of a clinical psychologist to be able to take him through counseling and stuffs. We will do our best, but then, you know, there are people who can do it better. So we haven't broken the news to them yet. No, we haven't. But we intend to do that before the burial of their parents. But then we will need the help of a clinical psychologist too. The girl was conscious. She wasn't unconscious, so she probably saw, because the other time we were trying to lie to her, you know, tell her a lie by telling her her parents are alive and they are just in a bad situation, they are in they are in an adult ward. So when she's fine and everybody's fine, they will see them. She told us point blank that I saw mommy. Mommy is not in coma.
Michael saw the remains of his brother, his wife, and their 8-month-old baby at the morgue.
It was very bad. Very, very bad. I mean, half of his head from the side, one eye, the cheek, and the scar was broken. You could, upon arriving at the mortuary, you can see his brains, you know. So no one could have survived that. A few broken bones, and then the wife too had, I think, something went through her head. Something went through her head, and the baby was badly damaged. We would need a clinical psychologist to aid in, you know, I don't know the word to use, but to aid in letting them know what has happened, because they have to come to terms with it, whether we like it or yes.
10-year-old Mame and her brother continue to hope that they will be reunited with their mother, father, an 8-month-old sister. As they have been told by family members, they are receiving treatment in another hospital. But the challenge now is how the family will break the unbearable news about the death of their parents and 8 months.
Now, motorbike riders who take to the middle of the road, especially during traffic build-ups, and graze cars during their dangerous maneuvers have brought grief to many motorists. Pedestrians have also suffered injuries after being knocked down by these motorbike riders who have always believed they have the right of way. It turns out motorbikes are not supposed to ride in between vehicles. That's according to road safety consultant Cecil Gabra. On a ride through some parts of the city, he also pointed out that ideally motorists who commit traffic offences are supposed to go for mandatory driving lessons.
If you look on the streets now, on the road, you realize the faded road markings.
Yes.
And this is so disappointing, right? Road markings are not supposed to fade. And this is also an engineering problem. Sadly enough, the contractors who have been given this contract to mark the roads are getting it wrong because they are using
substandard material?
Substandard paints. Okay. The paints that you see is supposed to reflect at night. Do they reflect? No. So now let's talk about motorbikes, right? Motorbikes are not supposed to drive in the middle of the road. They are not supposed to ride. It's a traffic offense. They should be in a lane. So
be in a lane.
In a lane. It's either the faster lane or the slower lane, but depending on the bike's cubic capacity. For example, like on the motorway, any motorbike which is less than 1.2 cc, that is cubic capacity, cannot be on the motorway.
Well, I'll bring you a lot more of that later on in the bulletin because I keep on learning so much and I'm sure you're also learning a whole lot more. But as the Multimedia Group celebrates 25 years, the leadership of the University of Ghana Alumni Association has honored CEO of the Multimedia Group, Kwesi Twum. Chairman of the association, Richard Obing Okra, commended the CEO and the Multimedia Group for taking the lead and excelling in the broadcasting landscape.
We noticed that over the years, he's become one of the major entrepreneurs in this country, especially on the media landscape, whose efforts are worthy of emulation. We are particularly happy that one of us, that is an alumnus of this great university of ours, has been able to establish a company, of course with the help of his team, to be able to disseminate analytical and quality news and information, not only in the major cities of this country, but also in the villages through various repeater stations countrywide. And this is something that we are particularly proud of. We are happy that the medium of expression has not only been in English, but also in the local languages. And I, in particular, that has been one of my sources of improving upon my vocabulary, my tree vocabulary, as I listen to radio stations like the Adom stations and other stations. In fact, I'm happy to mention that the kind of quality interviews that the radio stations of the Multimedia Group has provided for experts to share their ideas on very burning national issues is something that we are very proud of, and is something that ought to be continued and sustained, because it helps the body politic of this country.
Well, the ceremony was used to explore new ways in which the partnership between Multimedia and the university could be improved. The association, as you can see, they presented a certificate of recognition to Mr. Kwesi Chum at a short ceremony in its office here in Accra. And we say congratulations to him and the entire group on this feat. We're taking a break to bring you business news. Stay tuned in. Right, 2,500 jobs created in the Ashanti region, city or town of Obuasi. And Sandra is here to tell us all about it. Sandra.
Of course, Obuasi is alive finally, and the people are so excited about it.
First gold poured.
Exactly.
All right.
And so we want to see what that means to the indigents of Obuasi and then Ghanaians as a whole.
Check it away.
Thanks so much for joining me, Sandra Esinamap, and I'm here for business. 2,500 indigents of the Ashanti region, especially Obuasi, will be employed under the second phase of the Obuasi redevelopment project. That's according to the Minister of Mines and Natural Resources, Asuma Treme. He spoke at the commemoration of the first gold pour of the Ashanti gold mines in Obuasi.
The restart of production we are commemorating today just goes to demonstrate the positive outcomes we can achieve when key stakeholders, government and industry collaborate in the face of daunting challenges. Operations have commenced. First gold has been poured, and most of the 2,500 people to be employed will be Ghanaians, with a large number being local from the Ashanti region, but especially Obuasi and ACE environs. This is a manifesto promise made to you in 2016 by the new Patriotic Party's leader, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, now the sitting president of the Republic of Ghana. For me, a significant part of all this is the interface into government's local content agenda, by which Anglo Gold Ashanti has agreed to prioritize Ghanaian businesses, either solely or in joint venture with global leaders in ACE contracting and procurement processes. A most notable one is the $375 million 5-year mechanized underground mining contract for the joint venture entity known as Underground Mining Alliance between the Australian company African Underground Mining Services and ACE Ghanaian counterpart, Rockshaw International. This is the first of its kind in Ghana, and we expect its success to breed more of such. The many other mid to small business opportunities created are no less commendable for growing the local economy.
Meanwhile, residents of Obuasi are excited about the move by government to compel management of the new Obuasi mines to strengthen its local content commitment. This comes after the announcement by the sector minister that over 2,000 residents and indigents of Obuasi will be employed. Speaking to Prince Apia, they want government to ensure the company adheres to this promise.
So today officially marks the commemoration of the first gold pour of the new Obuasi redevelopment project, the new Obuasi mine. And we are here to speak to some of the residents to find out from them what it means to them and what are their expectations now that the gold mine is entering into its second phase of operation. What does this commemoration mean to you as a resident?
Thank you. It's an important milestone for the people of Obuasi, especially when we have clamored for the comeback of Anglo Gold Ashanti. And when it went on care maintenance about 2014, Obuasi was almost like a ghost town. So the people of Obuasi have clamored for the comeback of Anglo Gold Ashanti. And we think that when AGA comes back, the economy of Obuasi will be revamped and that Obuasi will be full of life, because Obuasi was almost like a ghost town. So today represents an important milestone for people of Obuasi. It means that Obuasi is back again. Obuasi is now lively.
I will say that it's of a great benefit to the people of Obuasi, in the sense that we've seen that, honestly, Anglo Gold is back and it's working indeed. And we know that as time move on, they are going to employ the youth and there will be a change in Obuasi massively.
And for those of us, the local contractors, honestly, we are very much happy because from the speech of the president, we realized that they said they should give the local contractors more work than those outside. So we are very privileged to have such an opportunity.
What kind of contracts are you expecting?
Oh, a whole lot. Like some of us who have been doing purchasing and supplying, we know once AGC is in, when the work is going on, definitely they will give us more work for us to do. So we are very happy on that.
And so what we are seeing today is a witness of people being employed. Because whatever they produce here was the work done by the people who were recruited. And so to the youth, we are very happy. We are so much confident in the president that what we are seeing today will continue like that.
I've been speaking to some residents of Obuasi here to find out from them how the First Gold Pour, the commemoration event, means to them and how it's going to impact on their lives and their livelihoods. My name is Prince Apia reporting from Obuasi.
From Obuasi, the Ghana Chamber of Commerce has begun a sensitization program on the new Company Registration Act. Introduced this week, the act is expected to ease the cost of business registration and improve efficiency. Speaking at a workshop to orient members on the act, Chief Operations Officer of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Frederick Amwaku, highlighted the need to use the act as a stepping stone to improve corporate governance. There's more in the following report.
The Registrar General's Department, in consultation with stakeholders, has abolished a key requirement banning business registrations. What this means is that businesses will now be handed a one-time permit from the department to operate. Speaking at the new Company Registration Act workshop organized by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Chief Operations Officer of the Chamber, Frederick Amwaku, charged businesses to adjust to the new act for effective operations.
This sensitization and capacity building will help deepen the understanding of businesses and keep them abreast with the new Company Registration Act.
Per the new regime, an application for incorporation shall include a statutory declaration by each proposed director indicating that within the preceding 5 years, they have not been charged with or convicted of a criminal offense. Here's a representative of the Registrar General, Jemima Owari.
Under the new Act, Act 992, we see it as an opportunity to strengthen the regulatory regime for companies, and it is forward-looking.
In effect, once the registration process involving a business is complete, a company can proceed to do business in the country. The move, according to the department, is to simplify the registration process.
In other news tonight, Board Chairman of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Professor Stephen Ade, has warned officials found culpable of mishandling state funds will face prosecution. He says the authority has declared the year 2020 zero tolerance for corruption to ensure its 55 billion cedi revenue target is met. There's more in the following report by Ebenezer Sabote.
Since 2015, the Ghana Revenue Authority has struggled to meet its target, except for last year when it exceeded the target by more than 10%. Following this performance, staff of the GRA says this achievement is worth celebrating with a Thanksgiving service. Board Chairman Stephen Ade cautioned corrupt staff will face prosecution.
So don't let anybody come to my house, and we know that we cannot police everybody, but we would practice at the board level zero tolerance for corruption, so that when we catch you, we won't allow you to stand at the place to be investigated. You'll be indicted at once. You'll be at home. When we investigate and you are right, you will have all your rights restored. But we won't just, we are not going to accept whether it's the union says these other things. When our law says that you are not guilty unless proven, but we are not going to let you sit at the place where we suspect you are going to continue your actions. When we find you right, we report.
Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta charged the GRA to double up efforts in meeting the 2020 revenue target.
Change the policies to ensure more effectiveness. We need to digitalize to ensure that everybody can pay and pay easily, you know. And it can't be right that I come to pay taxes and somebody is gone for lunch. It can't be. It just can't be right. I can't understand that. So we need to ensure that there's always a sense of coverage, a sense of care, because Ghanaians are our clients, and we deeply need to respect people to be able to do that. So we hope that this year also there will be a recalibration, a transformation of our ethics and values and a sense of professionalism, because that really will make the difference in what we do.
The Commissioner General, Amishadai Owusu Amwa, praised the staff and management for their hard work.
Thanks so much for watching. My name is Sandra Esenamapeno. I'm back after 8 p.m. with more business.
Still saying with the coronavirus, Latif Idris is attending a UN disaster risk reduction program in Kenya. He joins us via Skype with some update on what is happening in that country. Now, we know that Kenya is dealing with a suspected case of coronavirus. What's the very latest on that, Latif? All right, Latif, I'd like to repeat my question, which has to do with the coronavirus. I know Kenya is dealing with a suspected case. What's the latest on that?
Well, Israel, I can hear the question, but if you come down to Kenya, the approach, how the people of Kenya are approaching the issue of the possible outbreak of the coronavirus here is that indifferent. If you look at the media coverage, how the Kenyan media has carried these whole coronavirus suspected cases at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, been flip-flopping and changing channels, monitoring how the Kenyan media is covering this particular issue. And they are treating it as any other story. There has not been that consistency following up on how far the screening is ongoing at the Kenyatta Airport. What has been done is they treat it as one of the usual stories, and then they move on to the other big story. That is with the Kenyan media. When you speak to people, where we are is Mombasa, not in the capital of Nairobi. In Mombasa, the people are clearly the sense you get when you engage them on these possible cases of coronavirus at the Jomo Kenyatta Airport is that of indifference. Some of them do not even have a clue as to these 4 individuals who are currently quarantined at the airport. They don't have a clue, and it's something they are following. So generally, one can safely say that the approach and the coverage as far as the possible outbreak of the coronavirus here in Kenya is concerned is that of indifference among the Kenyan population, and the media coverage has also been same. Now, we know, Israel, that tomorrow the world is coming to hold a very critical meeting to determine whether or not to declare this coronavirus as an international emergency. What we know is some other countries have so far sent in planes and what have you to in their locals who are Wuhan and some other parts of China. Here in Kenya, that has not been the case. What they are doing at the airport, a robust system so that whoever is coming from China, not Wuhan specifically, but once you are coming into Kenya from China, there is that protocol that you have to go through. There is this scan that one has to go through. And this was not there prior to this outbreak of the coronavirus back in China.
So this is one of the ways the Kenyan authorities have put in place to ensure that no suspected cases come into the population of the Kenyan territory.
All right, thank you very much, Latif Idris, bringing us that update from Kenya. The Dafiama Busie Isa District National Disaster Management Organization Coordinator, Kumbini David, has revealed that 324 acres of farmland were destroyed by bushfires in 2019. 120 houses were also ripped off by windstorm, both amounting to over 400,000 Ghana cedis. Kumbini David made the disclosure at the inauguration of the Disaster Management Committee for the Dafiama Busie Isa District. Joy News Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Isa.
Make no mistake, this is not the wildfire that has swept across parts of Australia, but sea of bushfires that has wreaked havoc in several communities and farms in the Upper West region. About 4,600 bags of maize and soybean have been burnt into ashes in the Upper West region as a result of burning of the bush. The cruel reality, however, is that districts that serve as food baskets in the region are the worst hit areas. About a month ago, over 600 bags of maize seeds for government flagship program Planting for Food and Jobs at Jolonyeri and Kenkele got burnt by suspected arsonists. Though they managed to salvage 3 dozen of the seeds from the inferno, they are not even good for animal consumption.
Even the poultry farmers say they don't want because it's destroyed. So actually it's a waste.
The inauguration of the Dafiama Busie Isa District Disaster Management Committee is therefore necessary and timeous as it comes on the heels of the burning of the 2 maize seed farms.
I want to also employ the committee to come up with a district disaster management plan. The plan will tell you areas within the district, the geographical location, which areas are affected when there is flood, which areas do we report most of our bushfires, which areas are disaster-prone areas.
Dafiama Busie Isa District Dashboard Coordinator Kumbini David rolled out the statistics of disasters that occurred in the district in 2019.
A total of 324 acres got affected. 120 houses also got ripped off with a total estimated cost of 478,055 Ghana cedis. A case of tender and lightning was also recorded, which led to the death of 1 person.
Dafiama Busie Isa District Chief Executive and Chairman of the Integrated Disaster Management Committee, Nadi Morosanda, noted that as humans, there's little they can do to prevent disasters, but its risks could be minimized through human activities.
Put an end to bush burning, indiscriminate disposal of waste substances, building on waterways, which leads to choking of our gutters. These are very common human activities in our part of the country and are responsible for most of the floods we experience these days.
Meanwhile, Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali has donated 11 motorbikes, 11 computers and printers, water pumping machines, and chainsaws to the 11 municipal and districts in the Upper West region. The donation is part of measures by the government to retool and equip NADMO to enable it to perform its mandate.
Any official that attempts to misuse these logistics will be brought to book. We will not allow government officials to misuse state property. They are given to you to ensure that you carry out your responsibility.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Isa.
And that's it for the bulletin. I'm Israel. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.